Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the online course TH110, Religious Faith in the Modern World. This is an online course at St. Peter's University in Jersey City, New Jersey. I am your instructor, Dr. Matthew W.I. Dunn, and it's my pleasure to introduce myself to you and to have you in this course. First things first, make sure you're in the right course. If none of this sounds familiar to you, or you thought you were registering for something else, okay, well then you need to go to the registrar and make changes, okay? But the first thing is to make sure you're in the right course. Presumably, we're all on the same page. I'm teaching the right course, and you are in the right course. Religious Faith in the Modern World. This is the syllabus. You should be seeing the syllabus on my computer screen, which I am recording. And I'm going to go over the syllabus during this very brief week before we get into the nitty-gritty and things start coming at you hard and fast, readings and whatnot. And, you know, I know that not reading, but going over the syllabus can be like watching paint dry and then peel off and then repaint and then dry and then peel off. It's excruciating. So I'll try to make it relatively quick, hopefully a half an hour just devoted to going over the syllabus. You should have read or should read the syllabus yourself. It is our contract, and by that I mean a contract between you and me, you the student and me the instructor, and just as I will hold you to certain things in this contract, you have the right to hold me to certain things in this contract. Okay? So let's get into it. The course has started already at the time that I'm doing this talk. It's August 26th, and the course goes until October 20th. So it's roughly 8 weeks. It's listed as an 8-week course by the university. It is fully online. There's nothing, no classroom, no anything. Hence, there's no office for Mr. Dunn. So if you need to contact me, you can see here I give you my email. I also give you my YouTube channel, the address for my YouTube channel, which will be very important for you for looking at lectures, okay, that I will either have downloaded before and will have you watch, or other lectures that I will do and then download to YouTube. Since it's online, I am located in New Jersey. No, I'm not going to tell you where, but I'm located in the great state of New Jersey, just so you know. So I have no office on campus. If you do need to talk to me, really it has to be arranged through email. What is the course about? I'm just taking the description from the catalog. And sometimes the description in the catalog is not, not always written by someone, I think, who has taught the course before. Okay? But in general, this is what the course is going to be about. A critical inquiry into the value, the meaning of religious faith in the context of modernity. It will be centered on a biblical and Christian vision of existence, but dialoguing with other views of reality and views of the world. It adds a thing on emphasis on merging new forms of religious belief in action. Frankly, I don't know what the person who wrote that means, but whatever. I will mention from my experience of having experienced other religions. So yeah, that's generally what we're going to be doing here. This will be coming at you from a Christian Catholic perspective. So you should not be surprised by that. You are attending a Jesuit university that is the Society of Jesus. It is a religious group within the Catholic Church, kind of like a club, founded about 500 years ago, and they are Catholic, so the institution is Catholic. It's part of the mission of the Catholic Church. So this is not a secular university or institution, and I am not a secularist. I am a theologian. I'm a teacher in the department, adjunct in the Department of Theology, and so I will definitely be coming at things from a Catholic Christian perspective. That does not mean you have to share my views. I just want to tell you beforehand so you're not surprised, like, hey, why is he mentioning Jesus, you know? You do not have to share my views. You do not have to agree with me. That's not what this course is about. It's not to get you to agree with me or to share my views. It's for you to expand your own knowledge of this question. What is religion? What is its place in the modern world? Modern objections to religion, okay? And its existence and its value. What does religion mean for you? If you do value religion, what does it mean for you? Do you know, to actually think about what you believe? There are only two required texts, the Bible and the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Here you can find information. They should be, I have put in a book order form and contacted the bookstore, so hopefully they've been ordered. But if not, they are also available, easily available on websites like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, okay, book websites, places where you'll find books for sale, okay? Make sure you get the right editions. That's why I give you the ISBN number. Okay, you want the revised edition of the New American Bible. You want the second edition of the Catechism. And yes, there will be a number of other readings assigned by the instructor. I've already assigned a reading for you as per my last email, my first email. Someone might ask at this point, Mr. Dunn, I've got my own Bible. Do I really need to get a Catholic Bible? As if as soon as they touch the Catholic Bible, their hands are going to start burning like acid. You know, acid was thrown on them. Or they're going to, you know, burst into flames because it's the Catholic. And I'm joking, but sometimes that's an issue. You know, I've had students who were of different religions where, you know, when family members saw that they had a Bible, a Christian Bible, it was an issue for some of the family members that they had this thing under their roof. So, you know, I try to be sensitive to that. If you cannot, for religious reasons, buy a Bible that would offend members of your family or just yourself, it is online. These things are online, and I mention that in my email and give you the links to the Bible. But you will need to look at some things in the Bible. It doesn't mean you believe it. You just read it if you're not a Christian or not a Catholic. And I have a reading from the book of Baruch, which many other large portion of Christians do not accept as a part of the Bible. Just read it as any other sort of literature. Okay. The Catechism, you know, is important. A catechism is kind of like a summary of main points of teaching by the Catholic Church. It's part of education. Somewhere along the line, I looked up what catechism means in Greek, and you know, I have to look it up again. But anyways, it's really just short blurbs, and it's numbered by paragraph number, so it's very easy to find things in. Begin with the first paragraph. There's paragraph 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and everything is numbered, so it's very easy to find the readings in the Catechism. So it's just little blurbs of information related to Catholic teachings. It's organized in a logical way according to certain ideas and themes and whatever. What's the objective of the course? Well, to get to heaven. That's why we're on planet Earth. You don't have to believe that, but I do. I take that seriously, that God sent his son Jesus Christ in the world so that we could be saved and go to heaven. Not that everyone, you know, not that you have to explicitly accept Jesus Christ to get into the presence of God, but that's for another cup of coffee, a later course lecture. I give you a little quote here from an official Catholic document explaining what is the purpose of faculties of theology and scripture in the university setting. Want to read that. Learning outcomes. Yes, they're big on learning outcomes. What will you actually be able to do practically after you finish this course? You know, they're big on that in the last few decades because they want to make sure that you can actually do something with the information. What is this going to do for me? Well, I don't know. I don't know how you test the Blessed Trinity in a science lab. And I expect that people who teach courses like history and philosophy, other arts courses, drawing and painting and stuff, also find it hard to say, well, what are you going to be able to do? Well, you'll be able to draw. Not draw well necessarily, but you should be able to draw a circle or something, or a stick figure, Well, that's kind of like the position that, a lot of people I'm in with the liberal arts, like even theology is a liberal art. What can you do? Well, mainly know things, okay? Understand things, know terminology, expand your knowledge, be exposed to different ways of thinking about reality that other people have. Be familiar with scholarly literature, at least be exposed to scholarly literature, and kind of like go out of your comfort zone and reading it and stuff like that. Get a general idea of what religion is, okay? And other things that might come up. I talk about other stuff like spelling and grammar and stuff like that, and my own experiences. Some of it's related to the course. Some of it is just to help you out as a student of St. Peter's University, and I hope you benefit from it. So these are all the things that I could kind of come up with that you could, I guess, practically do after the course. Blackboard will not be used for this course. I simply do not trust Blackboard and find that I spend more time wasted trying to get Blackboard to do something that I want it to do. So it's not worth it. I can handle the course very well through emails and through YouTube, believe it or not, but trying to put videos and files on Blackboard when I can just send you to a YouTube link, which is easier? I mean, saying go to this YouTube link, and Blackboard can be kind of quirky about what kind of videos it will accept and whether the file size is too big and if it's the right kind of video format. So it's not worth it. Not worth it. I've used Blackboard before. I've tried to use it, and simply, as I said, I've wasted more time on it than I've gotten benefits from it. So I will encounter you through my email system, St. Peter's email system, and through the YouTube channel that I've set up. Here's the grade scale. Here's the grade scale. Please note that it is not easy to get an A in this course. Okay? A 93 is an A minus. Okay, so notice this. A B plus is a 90 to a 92. Now, some of you might say, well, that's not what I had in other courses I took with other professors. Well, that's fine. But the university gives professors a certain amount of leeway in their grading. Okay? So it's not always going to be the same for every course. And I did not make up this grade scheme. I got it from a professor in the department. Maybe in future years I'll change it up and loosen it up a bit. But for now, it works, and I see no reason to change it. So just so you know, because I don't want people at the end of the term or at the end of the course to get all annoyed that, oh, I got a 91, that should be an A minus. No, it's going to come out to be a B plus. All right? Why am I mentioning this? Because I've had it happen to me. People apparently did not read the syllabus closely enough and felt kind of gypped at the end of the course when the person thought he or she was getting a certain grade and did not. So just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. How will the course proceed? Okay, we'll run through this. On Monday of each week, you'll get an email from me, Dr. Dunn, in which I will outline the topic of the week And in that email, I will give you the readings and assignments for the week. So every Monday, you should get something in your email account. Okay? No set time, hopefully by around noontime each week, but there's no set time. That's why I don't set any time, because you never know what can happen, especially with computers, etc. But I will try to get stuff to you in the morning time before 12 noon. But anyways, check your email on Mondays for what you should be doing. During the week, you should expect to receive more emails from Mr. Dunn with video lectures. Okay, I can't tell you which days because I record them and then I have to upload them to YouTube, and that can sometimes be an involved process. It can take several hours sometimes, depending on the length of the lecture. But I can promise you, during the week, you're going to have other stuff to listen to. Okay, and watch on YouTube, other lectures, and these lectures will be related to the topic for the week. Okay. On Friday of each week, you are going to have a test, and this is going to test your knowledge on the material from the preceding week. Okay, so every Friday you should expect a test to arrive in your email, in which I will ask you questions about what you know or hopefully know from the readings and the assignments during the week. Each test is worth 40 points, so you can assume that it's probably going to be 40 questions, 1 point per question. And then you have to get it back to me the same day by 11:59 p.m. on that Friday. Okay, I give you some information on what the test will deal with. On the 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 7th weeks of the course, and don't worry what those are, I give them to you below, we'll get there, you will be expected to write a reaction paper. Notice it's not an essay, it's not a research paper, it's a reaction paper. I want your reaction, your thoughts, people. I want you to show that you've thought about what you've seen, okay? Don't give me some rambling junk, okay? Thoughts might be helpful to actually, because you'll know what you're supposed to be writing on while you're watching the video or reading the article, to keep your thoughts, to write your thoughts down as you're going through. That might help some people, but anyways. So on certain weeks, there'll be a reaction paper at the end of the week on some topic or question. And that reaction paper will be 40 points. Okay? Don't freak out. It's only 1 page. Okay? I want 1 page. As I said, it's not meant to be a big essay or research paper because I know you have enough to do. This will be due on the Saturday of that week. Notice the Saturday of the week on which it's due. On the week, I will tell you what you should discuss, so you really have to check your emails on Monday, because the Monday of that week, I'll tell you, this week you have a reaction paper due, this is what I want you to write on. And at the end of this syllabus, I give you the format for the reaction paper. On Monday of the final week, October 19th, I'm going to give you a final exam. It will be 200 points. So you can probably 200 questions. I know that's a lot, but whatever. It is cumulative. And you'll have until the next day, the evening of the next day, night of the next day, Tuesday, October 20th, to get it back to me. Okay? Some information on what might be included on the test, what types of questions. Honestly, I'll tell you, most of the time I opt for multiple choice, true, false, and short answer. Those are the 3 that you can probably expect from me. Okay? I'm not going to say anything more about that. Okay, so here I devote a page to the deadlines, just so you know, just so you can be aware. There are 7 tests, there are 4 reaction papers, and then a final exam. So here are all the dates. Let me actually zoom out so maybe you can see it a little bit better here. Here are all the dates for the tests. Here are all the dates for the reaction papers, when they're due, and the date for the final exam. Deadlines will be strictly enforced. Hopefully. You know, I always say that, but then I turn into a cream puff about halfway through the course. But deadlines, 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 deadlines. Let me say this, I know, I don't know really, but I'm assuming with a good amount of evidence that some of you or most of you are taking this course because you have something else to do. You're working, maybe 2 jobs even, or you have a family and you don't have time to leave your family a few times a week to come to campus and sit in a classroom. Okay? So you're thinking to yourself, I'll take an online course. It'll be easy. No. No. Deadlines, deadlines, deadlines. They will kill you if you don't follow them. The deadlines are there for a reason. Okay? Yeah, can you miss, one deadline or 2? Yes, but I would not recommend it because you will quickly find that little hill that you have to get over becomes a mountain very quickly. And it's, halfway through the course and you're failing because I have nothing from you. You haven't sent me anything. Okay? So take the deadline seriously. Yes, I will probably give you a break, give people a break, even though I say don't push it, because I don't want people to fail the course. I want people to do well in the course, I don't get my jollies out of giving people Fs, okay? So, I'll try to do what I can to help you out, but you will save yourself a whole lot of agony if you follow the deadlines, because then you have that confidence of knowing, okay, everything's in. It's in Mr. Dunn's hands. He has to grade it, not me. Nothing to worry about, and you can go back to doing the work. Okay? Be aware of the deadlines. Grading criteria, I just let you know how everything shakes down. The tests come out to 280 points if you add them all up. The reaction paper is 160 and the final exam 200. You add all these numbers up, you get to 640 points. So you will get the grade that you earn. So for example, our hypothetical person, say a student only earns 407 points, which you can see is not very good. That student's going to get a D. You divide 407 by 640, you get the number. It's a D. Okay? So this can help you, figure out along the way how you're doing in the course. Okay? If you've, for example, if you've had 2 tests so far, 2 times 40 is 80, maybe 1 reaction paper, okay, add what's 80 plus 40, 120, so you could take all the grades that you've gotten back from me, divide it by 120, and see what your range is. How are you doing at that point in the course? Okay? If you have a disability, if you have some issue which needs dealing with, because you have a disability of some kind, I give you the information that is printed in the catalog, the undergraduate catalog, okay? I highly recommend that if you think you qualify with a disability, that you go to this website right here, this website, and you contact one or both of the people who are listed on that website. They can help you. I cannot. I am not qualified to diagnose somebody with a learning disability. I am not qualified to determine if someone has some sort of physical or learning disability, what that person might need to be accommodated. I have no clue. That's out of Mr. Dunn's wheelhouse, as they say. That is not within my toolkit. All right? There are people there to help you, but you must self-identify to them. They will determine. If they determine that, okay, yes, student A does have a disability which Mr. Dunn needs to accommodate, then they will issue you a letter with, whatever the accommodations need to be, and I'll be contacted, and I will certainly accommodate you. Okay? Certainly. But you have to do that. It cannot be, halfway through the course I'm finding out you have a disability, or at the end. No. Don't tell your, faculty advisor. I mean, tell your faculty advisor too, but even your faculty advisor is not the person to contact. You need to contact the people here. If you have problems with Mr. Dunn, if you dispute my grading system, if you have a grievance against me, I offended somebody, I spit in your face or something. I don't know how I do that across the internet, but anyways, then I give you the procedures from the catalog that you can follow. Violations of academic integrity, there are really only two: cheating and plagiarism. Okay? Essentially, do your own work. Cheating and plagiarism, I think, come under the is it the fifth or the sixth commandment? Let's see. First commandment is, I am the Lord your God, have no gods but me. Don't take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Keep holy the Sabbath day. Honor your father and mother. Don't kill. But I think it's don't lie. Okay? But I think it's the sixth commandment. But anyways, the commandment which says, do not bear false witness, which the church interprets as, do not tell an untruth. Do not tell something that you know to be untrue as true. Don't lie. Cheating and plagiarism are lying. When you cheat or you copy another person's work, all right, and you don't give credit, it's the same. You're lying. You're saying this is mine when in fact it isn't. Okay? Cheating, we all know what cheating is. You're taking a test, you look over at the other person, you see they have a different answer from yours, you think it's right, and you put it down. You did not get that knowledge from yourself. You looked at another person's test and you did it, and you took it. Okay? Cheating, I don't consider if you need notes from somebody. Like, let's say you missed a class, you had the flu, or your car broke down, and you couldn't get to class on a certain day, and so you asked someone in the class who was there, could I have a photocopy of your notes for that day? I don't think that that's the same thing, okay? Because you're using the notes to get the knowledge, but you're not passing off the notes as your own for somebody. Cheating is, you're getting assistance for a test, getting answers from somebody on a test specifically, that is not yours. Plagiarism is more like copying. Okay? So, for example, if Mr. Dunn were a rapper, M. Diddy, or MD, what do you call him? MD Master Blaster, whatever. If I were a rapper and I took a song from another rapper and I used part of that music or part of the lyrics in my own song, do you think I'd get sued? Don't you think I'd get sued? Don't you think that other rapper would say, hey, you took my stuff, copyright infringement, babe? And and rappers call that sampling. You sample other people's stuff. But you have to give credit and pay a royalty. Well, in academics, it's the same thing. If I ask you to write a reaction paper and you have no thoughts, or it's hard for you to come up with any ideas, so, you go on the internet and you copy and paste a few things into your paper, yeah, that's plagiarism. Why? Because the very fact that you didn't even come up with it, you had to copy and paste it into a document. If it did not come from your own fingers typing on the keyboard, then it's probably plagiarism. Okay? So always, if you did not think of the idea first, okay, it's probably plagiarism. Okay? If you go around, well, forget it. Anyways, I think that's enough. Okay? Do not be lazy. All right? Part of I don't think people intentionally mean to deceive, but people get lazy and scared, and they have a deadline coming, and they need to get something done that they don't want to get done for whatever reason. They want to take the easy way out, which is, hey, someone else wrote about this, so I'll just take his or her work. And it's not acceptable if you take the work and then quote and then cite the person and say, "Oh, Mr. Dunn, I got this from someone's website." No, it should be from you, from beginning to end. It should be from you. I don't need you to quote other people. It's a reaction paper. I don't need you to quote other people unless you're quoting from the lectures and the readings that you're talking about. But even then, you should give your source, page number and whatever, or roughly, the time on the lecture that the person says whatever. But it should all come from your fingers on the keyboard, nobody else's. If you cheat or plagiarize, there are going to be consequences, and I tell you what the consequences are going to be. You get a 0 for the assignment. You'll probably be reported to the chair of the department and the dean of the school, and whatever, and they can decide what to do with you. Some further thoughts. This course is not as easy as you might have thought. You might think, oh, well, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to go to campus. I don't have to sit in a classroom. I don't have to necessarily, if I don't want to, sit there and take notes. I can use my computer and type and blah, blah. You might think all these things will make it easier for you. It will not. It will deceive you into thinking it's easier. Okay? But let me tell you, as I say here, some of you are working. Some of you have families. Some of you have families and you're working. And believe you me, at the end of the day, when you come home, the last thing you'll want to do is to sit down in front of a computer and listen to a YouTube lecture on something that you have no interest in. Mr. Dunn's not a fool. I know that most people consider religion bunk and fairy tales. And even if they don't think it's bunk or fairy tales, it's just not interesting to a lot of people. I understand that. I accept that. So you have to remember that, because the last thing you're going to want to do, you're tired, you're mentally tired, you're physically tired, and, you don't want to listen to me for 2 hours or 3 hours ramble on about typologies of religion or Friedrich Schleiermacher or whatever. Okay? This will not be an easy course. The course is not as long as you might think. The weeks come and the weeks go. Okay? And they go pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. I say it's a 6-week schedule. It's actually more like an 8-week schedule. That's a mistake. It is not my job to teach you how to use your computer or the internet. Okay? This is not a computer science course. So if you're having problems with your email account, if you have problems opening up file formats, if you're sending Mr. Dunn the wrong file format and stuff like that, that's not my problem. I'm sorry well, I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm going to tell you it's not my problem. It's your problem. By taking an online course, it is assumed that you have a certain amount of expertise in using the internet and using a computer that you can do the job. So telling Mr. Dunn that, I don't know, there's a problem with my computer, or I can't get a good internet connection, or it's not a good internet connection at my home. Well, I'm sorry that you're dealing with that, but that's really not my problem. Get the work in. That's not a valid excuse. You knew what kind of course it is. It is also not Mr. Dunn's, and I should probably put this in the syllabus because it does come up more often than not. It is not Mr. Dunn's job to teach you English grammar and spelling. You should know how to spell properly, correctly. You should know how to write a sentence, a grammatically correct sentence. If you don't, well, there are dictionaries and there are grammar books. Some of them, believe it or not, people, are online, and they'll help you. You might say, well, I don't have time for that. Well, tough. You got to make the time, because if you send Mr. Dunn a piece of junk that he doesn't understand, you're going to get an F. You're going to get an F. I'm very severe on that, okay, because this is a university course, and you're adults taking this university course. I'm sorry if for some of you English is not your first language, but you knew that when you applied to the university, okay? You had to have a certain competence in English because all the courses are taught in English, except, of course, for the foreign language courses. But they're going to assume that you can understand what the professor is saying in English. Some of you might say, well, I'm not Catholic, Mr. Dunn, or I'm not Christian. Well, you knew that, apparently. You knew that this was a Catholic school when you signed up, you matriculated. If you didn't, then now you know. And, if you need to make changes, then make changes. But, I'm not going to change my course. I will try to explain things, and I do try to explain things, but it's not for me to change my whole course and way of doing things because you don't understand. Well, that's why you're taking the course. This knowledge is foreign to you. All right? That's the whole point of taking the course. At the end of the course, you should have an understanding of what you did not know. And to those of you who are non-Catholic and non-Christian, I will say this. I've taught at enough Catholic schools to know that, believe me, this information will be as unfamiliar, as foreign to the Catholic students as it is to you. Believe me. There might be one student who went to a good Catholic school and was paying attention, or had a good CCD program at their parish in preparation for confirmation confirmation, or parents that actually talked about the faith at home. But I will guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, the students with a Catholic background will not understand what I'm talking about any more than the non-Catholic and non-Christian students. So you're pretty much all in the same boat. So don't worry about that you don't know. Don't get scared. Of course you don't know. That's why you're taking the course. If you knew, you'd be teaching the course. You have to pass the course, not me. You have to maintain your GPA, not me. Okay? Know this now, people, because it's happened to me too many times. And I'm not complaining, but it in a way, it annoys me. Okay? If you have a scholarship at the university, either academic scholarship or a sports and athletic scholarship. I don't know. Okay? You know what you need to do to maintain that scholarship. Okay? So you know what GPA, grade point average, you need to maintain. And that's your job. You are an adult. Okay? It is not my job to help you keep your scholarship. And I won't. I won't. Okay? I don't want students to fail, but sometimes you get a student who says, I get an email at the end of the course from a student saying, oh, Mr. Dunn, I have an academic scholarship, and I needed to keep a certain GPA, but, in your class I got a C minus instead of I needed better than a C minus, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, you got the grade you earned. What's your point? Is there something you could do? Is there some more work I could do? Well, first of all, I know that if you did not maintain a certain grade point average, that it was not my course that did that to you. So Mr. Dunn's not a dummy. I'm not a dumbo. If you did poorly in my course, that's not what sunk you. Okay, you had to have done poorly in all your other courses for you to have gotten a bad GPA, and so that it affected your scholarship. Okay, so I mean, people try sometimes that pity party type of thing where Mr. Dunn, and make it sound like it's you're the one standing in the way. If only you would help me out, Mr. Dunn. Well, what did you get in your other courses? So you have to know. You have to know what you need to do to maintain your GPA. And if you're just going to blow off this course and think, well, whatever, I get a C minus or something, and it's nothing. It's a theology course. It's nothing, Okay, it's nothing until you start getting bad grades in a couple other courses, and then you start sweating your GPA. Okay. So you have to be aware. I am not going to give you a passing mark just because you need a passing mark. You will get the grade you earn. And the final grade is final. Okay? If you want to send me emails complaining about it, oh, I don't like your grade scale, Mr. Dunn, or, Mr. Dunn, I don't know why my grade was so low, whatever. I mean, it's a free country. You can tell me if you don't like your final grade, as long as you remember that all the points were earned by you, not by me. I did not write your reaction papers. I did not take your tests. Okay? All I did was grade. If you gave me good work or decent work, then you get good, decent grades. If you gave me just junk, well, then, you should expect to receive in kind, Format for the reaction paper, okay? Very briefly, this is very simple. It's 1 page long. I don't want to read too much, believe it or not. Just tell me who you are, which course it is, and which reaction paper. That's the basic information I need, okay, so that when I'm going through grading, I know how to group everybody, okay, and where you should be grouped. That will help me out. Should cover 1 full page. Use only these 2 types of fonts, and there are reasons for that, because if you use other types of fonts, well, then they take up more space, don't they? If you're using like bold font, or what is it? I forget the name of the font, but anyway, some of these fonts that are huge, that takes up more space. So there's a reason for this. It's not just, well, Mr. Dunn is a weirdo. He only accepts Times New Roman or Courier New. No, I only accept them for a reason. Okay, because I'm not saying you people would do this, but I know people who would play games with fonts because they're bigger and wider, and you save a little space. Right? Use only 12-point font, which this font size is. 1-inch margins around the page. That's another game people will play. They'll try to tweak the margins a little bit. A little bit there, a little bit here. Make it smaller. Single space text. So not double spaced. This is double spaced. This is single spaced. Okay. You should send it to me in a format that is compatible with Microsoft Word. Preferably in the modern form of the modern Word document format, or something that most things are gonna be fine. I don't think we should run into a problem with it. But if we do, it's honestly, and frankly, it's your problem. Okay, you should. It's not my problem to figure out how to open up your file. If I can't open up the file, I'll send it back to you and say, figure it out. Send it back to me. Do not think that you're simply going to copy and paste your assignment in an email. Don't even dare. Don't even try it. Okay? I will send it back to you. Okay? You submit a file to Mr. Dunn. Okay. Let's see. Yes, I'll take off points if you don't follow the above guidelines. Yes, I'll take off points if you can't spell, you have lousy grammar. Okay. But above all, I mean, really the mortal sin of your reaction paper that will really tank your grade is if you have not shown any thought on the material. I'm not looking for you to agree with me. Sometimes you get papers like that from students where, you can get a sense that the student is trying to be friendly, trying to figure, okay, Mr. Dunn kind of goes this way on this or that way on that. And so you don't want to say something that's going to offend me, or you want to make it seem like you agree with me. We're on the same page. Honestly, people, I don't care. I don't care. Okay? This is not an agreement course. Okay? If I'll give you my opinions on your paper if I think, especially if you're a Catholic and you misunderstand something or whatever, or I think, a comment needs to be made, but I'm not judging you. This is not my job to judge you. Okay? I want to make sure that you're thinking about the material. Okay? That if you believe something, there's a reason you believe it, and it's not just because, well, I don't know, my family always had a statue of the Virgin Mary in the corner with some flowers, so I guess I'm Catholic, and we went to Mass every now and then, so I guess I'm Catholic. Okay, now you're that, okay, but that's child stuff. Okay? Now you're adults. Now you're an adult. Start thinking about why you believe. Religion is about thought. Why you believe things. Okay? So, I expect for you to think, show thought. You don't have to impress me. Okay? You're probably not going to think something original. Okay? And this is words of wisdom from a PhD. All right? Many, many times, most times really, when I've thought I've had some original kind of thought, I find out very quickly that dozens, even hundreds of people have had it a long time before me. Believe me. I use the image of walking into a room that you think no one has been in before, and you find like 100 people sitting around in the room, and one of them says to you, "What took you so long?" Or you finally made it, or you're climbing a mountain that you think has been unexplored, and you get to the top of the mountain and you find some guy sitting there, You're like, "Hey, you finally got up here." Believe me, okay? I appreciate the fact that people want to impress me. I know that sounds incredibly egotistical, but I understand that people want to even impress themselves. That, hey, I'm having these big major thoughts. That's great. If you come up with something insightful, that's wonderful. But just think, and that's probably the easiest way to get through it. Just think about what you're seeing and hearing, and don't worry about whether it's completely original or it's going to knock Mr. Dunn's socks off or show Mr. Dunn how smart you are or whatever. I'll assume that you're smart, intelligent people. Okay? Just think and relax and relax. Okay? So we've come to the end. I'm done with this. Good. It's, well, I promise a half an hour. It's less than an hour, which is success in my book. So I'll just say that, and in prayer, may the mercies of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ, be with you. May He bless each and every one of you as we begin this course together and help you to do well. Amen.